Center consulting work. He's here today to discuss with you a proposal from his company that dealing with Act 56 filing and the Triennial plan that we're required to do. And hopefully he'll be able.
The deliverable would be preparing your triennial plan. That's every 3 years. Yours is due at the end of this year. Preparing your annual wireless funding applications, which again is really a competitive grant process, and we'll talk more about that. And more importantly, your reconciliations. Again, it's very important that the money they give the county, that we can account that we spend it properly. Otherwise, you have to refund the money back to the wireless account. Prepare your annual reports, and then more importantly, assisting in preparation for next generation 911, which is coming, actually it's here today, but it's coming. We, in our company, when we do a triennial plan, we try to make it almost into a strategic plan, so that long after we're gone or Dan or somebody else is gone, that's a living, breathing document that can actually be used by someone in the county. Wireless funding. One reason we get hired by counties is because it's a competitive process now. There's 69 911 centers competing for the same funds. So 67 911 centers in 2 cities are applying for these funds. More funds are requested each year than there are funds available. This year, I think there was $137 million in request, and there was $110 million in the fund. So $27 million was approved but unpaid. So it's $27 million next year that has to be paid out before they pay the rest. You have additional services. Besides being a consultant, I am the chairman of the legislative committee for both 911 associations in Pennsylvania. I also am a guest on the CCAP Governance Affairs Committee, and I work with that committee for 911 issues regarding legislation. So we'll do a timely legislative, regulatory analysis, and reporting. And we'll do that for not only at the state, but on the federal level. I sit on the national and federal level for a committee for 911 affairs. So that way we'll let you know what we see coming down the line, both on the federal level, and where that might affect a county like this is a national broadband plan, where the state has now received some funding. They're putting in an overlay across the Commonwealth, so that's something that might be able to benefit the county, and we bring that. These are our clients right now. We have for wireless and wireline planning: Bradford County, Cameron, Clinton, Jefferson, McKean, Luzerne, and Wyoming counties. These are we currently. So what we do is we review the company telephone bills by account. We review the customer service record, and that's the actual Verizon record that shows how your circuits are actually built and what they're actually built for. And we'll talk about the person who actually does this for us. Ken Heisel actually worked in engineering for 20 years at Verizon, so he actually designed these circuits, and then 11 years as a 911 service manager, so he knows what the fees are. A lot of federal appropriation work, or grant work for counties, because we feel that it's our obligation that if we do a needs assessment strategic plan for you for either a radio system or a 911 center, and say it's going to cost these millions of dollars, we feel it's our job and our obligation to help you find funding for that type of project. Some success on federal appropriations: we got $500,000 for Clinton County for a new radio system. We got $500,000 for the Northwest Central Emergency Response Group for interoperability, and then we're working with Clinton County on a federal appropriation for a new 911 center. And
why couldn't our staff do this? Just give me a...
That's a good question, and your staff can do it. The problem we find is to dedicate the amount of time to actually do it correctly and to follow all the rules, the regulations, and the nuances. It doesn't work as well. If you would look at counties that put in for wireless funding and ones that have consultants, and to look at the amount of money they usually get, usually the ones with the consultants, they get more money, because day in and day out we're keeping track of the rules, the regulations, the changes of what needs to be done, and we can dedicate core time to it. So instead of putting 2 hours, 3 hours, here or there, we sit down and we work with it, and that's what we do for a set period of time, is to get your project done. And we is try to get 100% of your salaries and benefits covered. And one thing I'm not sure if you put in for this year, did you know that your ARC payments are actually an eligible benefit?
Your what payments?
Your annual retirement contributions. And
on $1 million, if you have 10%, that's $100,000.
And you'd get whatever your wires percentage is. So if your wires percentage is, say, 55%, you'd get $55,000. And that was just something that we came upon, just thinking of, how do we get our clients more money? And a lot of the commissioners I talked to I was at the one CCAP conference in the summertime, and they were talking about, in the fall, and they're getting killed on pensions. And I said, well, how much are your contributions? When they told me, I said, oh my God. So So I called Rob Wenzel and I said, this is a benefit to the county employee. I said, is that an eligible expense? And he said, yes. So we put in for it.